conflict as a literal device and its use in modern arts. Conflict is a struggle between several opposing forces. It continues when character reacts to actions produced by antagonists in whatever form it might be. These actions generate momentum in the story. In stories, conflict works like an engine, driving the plot ahead. Conflict forces the discoveries of new beliefs and truths, and these in turn become stepping stones for deeper character development in the story. Conflict generates an engaging and relatable connection to a story. There are two different categories of conflict. We have internal conflict and external conflict. Internal conflict takes place within the character. An emotional obstacle or struggle lives within the character. It lets us see the different points of view in moral, philosophical, or belief system. The combinations of these create conflict in character's perspective, and it's shared with us as observers. It is also important to consider that conflict is frequently intertwined with external conditions, and these combinations generally result in deeper story. External conflict is an obstacle character faces in outside world. By overcoming the set of hurdles created by outside forces, the hero will reach his goals. Example of this is in Homer's Odyssey. In this story, we can see an external conflict when Odysseus had to cross the ocean and resolve disagreements with gods and overcome all the challenges laid out before him. Only after he completes all of them, he can return home. It is the collection of impossible odds and continuous conflict that attracts readers. Odysseus' challenge lets us experience the unexpected and let us relate to him as a person. Internal conflict, person versus itself. Person versus itself conflict rages inside a character, and it lets us see their internal struggle with decisions or identities. Often in a story, we observe a character developing into a new personality by resolving internal conflict. This conflict can be very relatable as we all face similar challenges. This is about the emotional journey our character takes and follows through. We often call this progression the character arc. One example that we can use today is The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, published in 1843. This story describes a crime where we see the narrator conflicted with his deteriorating mind. The character reflecting on his descent to madness and fixation on the old man's vulture eye, resulting in gruesome murder, and the vivid description of under pressure emotional breakdown following. This is a classic representation of internal conflict. Character versus character. This type of conflict occurs in the story when protagonist conflicts with the antagonist. Often, there can be many characters. These help to create additional lines of plot and create the variables in the stories. For every hero, there is a villain. It does not matter who wins, it is all about the struggle. Eventually, someone will claim the victory. Think of a story and you have an example. The second example of external conflict is character versus nature. In this conflict, character is pitted against natural force. There are many different examples, and some are storms, diseases, or animals. Natural force conflicts force the character to look within and discover all the internal strengths they possess to meet the challenges ahead. One of the most famous examples would be the movie's Jaws, where we face a gigantic shark, Dante's Peak when we face volcano, and the classic literature story by Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. The third type of external conflict is character versus society. This conflict happens when character disagrees with existing larger social forces. Another show of this conflict could be nonconformity. In this conflict, we often recognize signs of exploitation and condemnation. Sometimes these conflicts can be relatable and connected to understanding of laws, religion, or unjust societal situations. A couple of good examples can be found in Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. The fourth external conflict is character versus technology. These modern technology conflicts are very often used in science fiction genre. These situations raise questions about what it means to be human and what sets us apart from machines. These use a lot of imagination and forward-looking thinking. Think about a time your car does not start. The fifth and last external conflict is character versus destiny and supernatural. This conflict puts the character at odds with the unknown or supernatural. These conflicts are seen in mystical, religious, and horror stories. Subjects can experience religious enlightenment, or encounter possessed house, vampire, or even undead. In this type of conflict, protagonists can experience special gifts and powers, be the gothic horror novel Dracula, written by Bram Stoker in 1897.